Happy New Year, Slushies. This is Lisa Zirkle. I'm a senior editor here at Painted Bride Quarterly. We've teed up an exciting year of editorial discussions for 2026. Be sure to tune in for special guest editors who will be joining us in the new year around our virtual table. Today, I'm here to introduce an encore edition that first aired in December 2022. The team chats about two lush poems from Nick Visconti. And it was the first appearance on the pod for our exceptional managing editor, Dagne Forrest. We'll be back in our next episode with fresh poetry, fiction, and guests. As always, thanks for listening, Slushies. Happy New Year.
Hi, and welcome to the Slush Pile. I'm very excited to be recording today. Listeners, you won't even know, although you might have felt a little bit of a pause for a while. We haven't recorded in quite a while, so we're really excited to be together today. So the Painted Bride Quarterly submits Slush Pile came out of our desire to share with you the editorial process. We like the idea of a transparency in your ability to see that we hand curate every single poem like the fanciest barista you've ever seen. So where I keep saying we. So I am Kathleen Volkmiller, and we're recording on Zoom, so we're all in different places, and I am in Collingswood, New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia. And I am so happy to say hello to Marion Wren.
Zooming in from halfway across the world, it's Marion Wren. I'm here and happy to be here. And I'm looking out my window, and the city lights are coming up. And I can see that some of the buildings are ready to celebrate National Day here in the UAE. So lots of green and green and green and red and white and black. It's gorgeous. So, and I am happy to say, Samantha, hello, friend. Where are you?
Hi, I am zooming in from Baltimore. I am in a neighborhood called Old Galshire, which is very tiny and small, and there are lovely trees everywhere that are pretty yellow today. I'm a lecturer at Johns Hopkins, and I've been with PBQ for 6 years, I think. And yeah, so I will now shoot it over to Alex.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex. I'm in on Long Island. Nice sunny day over here for me. And I don't know if we want to do a special introduction. I think this is their first podcast. I'm gonna punt it off north. I don't know if I'm northeast or northwest of me, but I pass it over to Canada.
Thanks, Alex. This is Dagne Forrest here. I'm new on the PBQ team this year, been loving reading and got pulled into the podcast, and it's one of the nicest things I've ever been pulled into. It's a great treat. So I'm in Almont, just outside of Canada's capital. I am roughly north from where you guys are. And you might not know, because we've been talking baseball before this, but you might not know that the inventor of basketball, James Naismith, is from Almont, where I live.
Oh. So is there a lot of basketball stuff around celebrating?
There's a lot of basketball stuff around. In fact, one of our main roads right now still has these funny white circles painted in the middle of them from when they did 3-on-3 sessions back in the summer.
Oh, wow.
If you're new to town, it's a little weird.
Right. That's great. Well, I love when towns celebrate their own, Marion has a home in Kannapolis, North Carolina, which is the home of Dale Earnhardt. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
So the thing that I find amusing is a lot of things are named after him and all that, but there's a park named after him and a statue where, when they do those statues that are like just larger than life, Like it's not like, it's like the Lincoln Memorial, it's not like that. It looks like a human man, but larger. That's the statue of him. Marion and I go there and we jump up in the air and pat his butt every time I
We
come
do.
down.
We do. And I believe it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. and he was known as the Intimidator. So Kathy and I like to stand next to him and touch his butt. And we're probably offending all kinds of NASCAR fans as we say this.
We say you're not intimidating us, Dale.
I love it.
Yeah. So we would love to chat with each other and just have you poor listeners hang in there, but let's not do that. Let's get to what we're here for. We are so lucky to be able to discuss today the work of Nick Visconti. We have 2 poems by him, and I think that I'm gonna voluntold Dagne as her initiation ritual is gonna be that she's got to read the first poem. What do you think? Right?
Well,
That's
actually,
PBQ style, Philly style.
yeah, right
A real
on.
tough hazing at a PBQ here.
Yeah, this is how we hate.
I love this poem, so I'm happy to read it. I was kind of hoping I might get the chance, so thanks for throwing me into it.
All right.
All right, it's called Burial. Burial. It is love, not grief, which inters the deceased in a hill made of clay. Sawed embraces, crossed arms, legs, eyes shut, looking forever at nothing beneath our feet, a container for men unmade, no boat to speak of, no oars darkly dipped in water as we pictured it would be. Instead, a single shred of light piercing every lens it catches. Instead, a pathway none cross, just follow through and up, the cusp of ending, nothing at all like the end. He isn't in this yard when his children roam. Still, they dig. They expect to find him. Braided leather, steel wound aglets, his black opal intact.
Amazing.
Nice.
Beautiful reading. Beautiful reading.
Thank you. Well,
So I'm sorry, I need to look up the word aglet. The heck is an
well,
aglet?
an aglet is a metal cylinder wrapped around the end of your shoelaces, for example,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
is what directed me to pronounce it as wound, because the first time I saw it, my brain wanted to say wound.
Right.
And I thought, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I love that because we have the reference to the river Styx early on in the poem. And then with the braided leather and the steel wound aglets and the black opal, I mean, it speaks to me of grave goods.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it says a lot of things to me, but that's one thing that it brings to mind.
Yeah.
Wait,
Boy.
Dagne, say that again. It speaks to you of what?
Of grave goods, right? So, the ancient Greeks, they would, and other cultures, right, who would put special items into the grave with the lost person, right, with the dead. In some cases, it was a coin in the mouth, right, to help them make that river crossing across the river Styx. But there were other items too, and I think. I don't know. I'm really interested to hear what other people think, but I got 2 primary things from the ending of this poem, which is very surprising after what comes before, right? It suddenly becomes so specific. And to me, it was kind of about, I mean, if you were to go and dig up someone you'd lost, you'd kind of be expecting to find them exactly as you'd last known them and seen them with those items that spoke to who they are, right, physically, but because of that reference of crossing the river, it also made me think of grave goods and what you might send along with someone after death.
Sure. Right.
I particularly love that the cuspid ending, right? And the up and up, right? So like that, it's almost like smoke rising the way the poem works. A pathway none crossed, just follow through and up, the cuspid ending. Nothing at all like the end. Like that, and the beauty of those lines, the way they sit on the page, really is just so moving, really moving.
I agree. I had like a physical response to that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It makes me think of like the medieval way of burial into the sea, and then you shoot the arrow and it goes up, and kind of that contrast between putting the dead in the ground or rising, and how those lines up and they dig are separate.
Right.
It's a beautifully structured poem, I think, too.
Yeah, I really agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, I was just thinking of how our view of death is obviously told from the people who are living. I know that sounds obvious on this front, but like on the deceased person side, their body decays, they're still going through a process. And that's what I thought about, like a pathway none crossed but follow through, where it's like it's just another transitionary kind of period for the body of the person. Like, but meanwhile, it's a departure for us. Like the cognitive functions have ceased and the person we know is gone. So I think it's kind of like the poem is having those two ideas like cross paths with each other, like the alive dead binary versus body kind of entering the earth and becoming part of the earth in its own the way nature works.
Yeah, taking on a different form of existence almost, Alex. Yeah, that's true.
Guys, I feel like you're understanding something a little bit better than I am. So the name of it is Burial, and we have all the water sticks references, right? And then, as Dagne did from the beginning, I got that those parts of him are what would still be left: the leather, the steel aglets, and the black opal, right? If you did unbury him, that's the part you'd find. But where I'm confused is the we and the we have a container from sorry, as we pictured it would be, but then we have his children,
Right.
and it's called Burial, but they're digging to find him, not burying him. So I'm just a little confused about, I'm trying to connect those dots there, how there is a we and an our, but then a his.
Absolutely. And as part of that, Kathleen, that single shred of light piercing every lens it catches, it made me think that sounds more as though it would be from the perspective of the dead. And I feel like I'm trusting that this poem is sort of shifting back and forth from survivors who are considering burial and death and loss and the experience of it somehow. Because even that black opal at the end to me speaks of a pupil, of an eye. It's a really beautifully chosen item and image in my mind, because it helped me to connect back to the middle of the poem and to start to make more sense of it. Because I agree with you, Kathleen, there's something kind of fundamentally, it's like being in a dryer, right? A tumble dryer. We're sort of being whirled around with it. But I feel like the clues that were left in this poem kind of help you to follow the path somehow.
Yeah.
There's the feeling too of like what happens right after burial here. And I feel, especially in that third stanza, well, kind of the second to the third, where that looking forever at nothing beneath our feet, I think also makes me think of just the idea of the afterlife and kind of different conceptions of it. And it also makes me think of that line in Anne Carson's autobiography of Red, where she says, to live past the end of your myth is a perilous thing. And I feel like this poem is making me think about like what we believe in happens to someone after they're put in the ground or risen up, and how that life force of them and us, the living, like kind of congeals. And so that's why I think, Kathy, what you're saying makes sense to me too, because I think it's intentional, that congealing actually, and that movement between the living and the buried one.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look back to the first sentence, it is love, not grief, which inters the deceased.
Yeah.
Right. That works with that read, Sam. Thank you.
You know, this conversation is so helpful because there's something about the energy of this poem that just like is transporting me, right? Like from the beginning to the end, right? But but Kathy's like, you know, well noted, there's a break, right? At, excuse me, the last two, I guess, well, three, right? The way they dig is set off. He isn't in this yard when his children roam. Still they dig, they expect to find him. That section of the poem really signals a turn, right, from the stuff that's come before. And it's, as Dagne suggests, it's almost like the first part, and Sam's pointed out too, it's almost like sort of like theorizing, right? Like, you know, hypothesizing about what it is that drives the impulse to bury, right? And then this very practical, grounded, pragmatic, almost like the child's approach is like, well, if we put him in the dirt, he's got to be in the dirt. Where'd he go? Right? Like a kind of switching to the practical, right? So the structure of the poem, for me, if I look at it that way, doesn't split as much as spiral, right? Like it sort of spirals into the specificity of that last image of kids looking.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's a proper interrogation, but just done so lightly.
At first too, I wasn't in love with the line "sod embraces, crossed arms, legs, eyes shut," but I've come around to it because I do think that it actually kind of infuses like spirit or entity-ness in a way into sod. And I like that, like kind of removing us from kind of the human even kind of conception of these things and moving into like being part of the natural world in this moment. And I think that in some ways it could look that stanza felt a bit decorative or something to me the first time I read it. But then when I really think of the sod as actually an active agent, it becomes much more interesting to me.
I like that.
You want to hear it again? Let's hear it again.
That'd be nice.
Sounds great.
Dagne, that's me nominating you.
I got it. Burial. It is love, not grief, which inters the deceased in a hill made of clay. Sod embraces, crossed arms, legs, eyes shut, looking forever at nothing beneath our feet, a container for men unmade. No boat to speak of, no oars darkly dipped in water as we pictured it would be. Instead, a single shred of light piercing every lens it catches. Instead, a pathway none cross, just follow through and up, the cusp of ending, nothing at all like the end. He isn't in this yard when his children roam. Still, they dig. They expect to find him. Braided leather, steel wound aglets, his black opal intact. Love it more every time.
I guess we know how
just,
you're going.
I'm sorry, I'm not being very subtle.
Thanks for the dramatic tension, Dagne.
Does the eye decompose slower? I don't know. Is it one of the last things to go?
The what?
The eye.
Ew.
No,
I'm
they're
not
soft
thinking
and
about
mushy.
that.
Yeah,
They
so they
gotta
last
go
a
fast.
while.
I think I think they go fast. They're mushy.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
wet. They're mushy. They're going to deteriorate quick.
Sorry,
Great question. And it was just Halloween, so.
I know.
Well, we're also recording this on the second Day of the Dead, so
Yeah.
True. All right, you're giving me the shkabats.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I think on that note, we need to vote.
Okay, here we
Sounds
go.
good.
1, 2, 3, vote. Boom.
The
Bam.
suspense.
Yeah, we when it's unanimous, we do tell. Unanimous. Listeners and Nick, thank you so much, Nick Visconti. I know I'm a girl boss, but we didn't have the pleasure of Sam for so very long that I would like to have told her to be the reader of the second poem that we have today.
I accept this honor. Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Unmake these things. The sand before me like water, fluid and holy. Under the cratered crown, nearly half awake, circling. As I draw the one way I know, stick figures in a backdrop scenery, thick-headed and content, wheeling, palms of birds, wide sloping M's, grouped in permanent murmur. I don't bother with the sun's face, bare in the upper left corner of the page. I've made a habit out of hoarding ornaments, given them their own orbit like the russet ichor dashed with cinnamon. I choke down every morning and afternoon. The city's puncture-prone underbite nips the sky, consuming the bodies above, thunderheads, billboards, notched, alive in the glow of that always diurnal square. There's been talk lately of irreversible chemistry, an acceptable stand-in for cure among believers and experts in and on the subject of Zoloft-sponsored serotonin. At first, weaning is possible. Do not bother with a second.
And listeners, that is the sound of thinking. You're thinking.
I find this poem a lot more challenging. I'm so interested to hear other people's thoughts because I can find elements that I like, but I don't know where I am with it.
there's this weird like beachy haze I'm getting. Like it's not fully, but it's in pockets in the poem. And I think I'm thinking of Zoloft. I'm thinking of like the half awake. There's this drowsy, sunny but drowsy kind of like it's hot and I can't think. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I'm doing, you can't see this because obviously podcast, visual medium, but I'm moving my hands around a lot, kind of in weird kind of emotions right now.
Like the birds. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, like those wheeling birds. Yeah, there's definitely a palpable sense of confusion. I think haze is a great word, Alex. I mean, I have one theory on what this poem might be quote unquote about, but it just, sorry, Marion, you're on mute.
Of course I'm on mute. It's like the first time I've ever touched Zoom. Good Lord. Good Lord, Dagne. But I'm sorry, and here I am interrupting your flow. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, there's some really cool images in here, right? And clearly references to what seemed to be drawing, right? And kind of a simple style of drawing and all of that. And there are the references to medication, both in terms of like ichor, but also the Zoloft. And so it's making me think of like doing art therapy in the psych ward. So the time that I've spent with this poem has kind of landed me there, but I also feel like I could be completely wrong-footed on that.
I think that's where I was going to jump in. Like for me, the poem starts to like sediment maybe with, there's been talk lately of irreversible chemistry, an acceptable stand-in for cure among believers and experts in and on the subject of Zoloft-sponsored serotonin. A first meaning is possible, do not bother with the second, is like the sort of imperative at the end of the poem. Feels really like where like the spiral lands into that. So I'm actually with you. I think the first part of the poem is really about drawing and an effort at making images, and like the ichor dashed with cinnamon, I choke down every morning and afternoon. You know, there's something about like the use of colors in this painting, right? Or this active painting, and then there's like this sort of drifting gesture, like Alex said, right? The sort of haziness. The city's puncture-prone underbite nips the sky, consuming the bodies above, right? Like it's almost as if the speaker of the poem is going from this like gesture of painting or looking at these paintings, looking up at the city, and then sort of sitting back into like, you know, like a contemplation of better living through chemistry.
Yes.
Or not, right?
Yeah. And trying to match up these two visions, as it were. Yeah.
My gosh, Dagne, do I think you nailed it with something about like, potentially art therapy in a psych ward. Marion, where do you get paintings?
So maybe it's not paintings, but it's like as I draw the only way I know, right? So the sand before me like water, fluid and wholly under the cratered crown, nearly half awake, circling as I draw the only way I know, stick figures in a backdrop scenery.
Right. Wide sloping M's, you know how you make those M birds or so the person is sketching, right? The person, right.
And I actually love that, like wide sloping M's grouped in a permanent murmur. Yes.
Oh, it's a brilliant image.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah. There's so many, there's so much great language here. I think Marion already read it. The city's puncture prone underbite nips the sky.
I know.
Gosh.
Mm-hmm.
How about even that always journal square? I don't know how to pronounce it, but that means that's every day, right?
Diurnal. Yeah, exactly. It's always day. It's perpetual daytime, which you would see in parts of a city. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that constantness, like Marion's, and then the Zoloft haze, right? From the repetition of the mundanity of every day,
Mm-hmm.
permanent murmur. What is a habit of hoarding ornaments?
Yeah, I've made a habit of hoarding ornaments, given them their own orbits, like the russet ichor dashed with cinnamon I choked down. So I have such trouble parsing that line, but it's sort of like I don't know, it's sort of like he's integrating two images at once, like the speaker's integrating these two images, like
Hoarding ornaments. What a word, ornament.
Yeah.
Hoarding ornaments sounds great too. Or their own
like,
orbit.
If it is someone who's, I don't know, like if we're in an artist studio or if we're in the psych ward in an art therapy class, I'm not sure which, right? It's sort of like this, I've been collecting these ornaments and they remind me of this thing that I choke down every morning, right? Like the
medicine.
it's like it's like a gesture of comparison or integration or resonance, you know what I mean? Which is exactly, I think, what's happening in that first stanza. The sand before me like water, fluid and holy under the cratered crown, nearly half awake, circling as I draw the, right, like as the one way I know, right? So there's like this sort of loopy gesture of description, and then it lands in the second stanza with the act of drawing. But I'm not 100% sure that's what's happening.
Mhm.
Well, I'm really intrigued by that, the use of that word ichor, because my understanding is that it is blood of the gods that humans become sick from if they take it. And I'm wondering if like we're meant to believe through kind of a few separations of guesstimation if this is scientists as gods who are trying to help him. And then my other question is, or where I still get thrown, though I like it, is I think in the beginning, I'm picturing this person like in a natural environment on the beach playing with sand, and then after kind of, I think Dagne's astute like explanation of perhaps this could be like in some kind of facility and they're doing actual sand art or something. I don't really visualize, I in emotion I feel that, but in the visuals I don't see that.
I'd absolutely agree with that, Sam. And that's why I was so tentative about saying this is where I've landed, but I'm not actually sure that's where I've properly been led, that I can, that I can trust the signs, as it were. I have experience of visiting a friend, a dear friend who spent time doing art therapy on the psych ward multiple times. So I think for me, that came strongly to mind, but it could be way off base. I like your reading, Sam, about the ichor relating back to the gods that physicians tend to be, especially for someone who's in that very vulnerable position. And ichor is also, weirdly, the word that we give to the fluid that weeps from a wound, which is some weird human impulse to then tie it back to the blood of the gods. But
yeah, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that second definition. And I didn't know it made humans sick, Sam. So that really is fascinating.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first poem I felt so, even though it had its own mystery to it, and I think it can be read in different ways, I still felt this kind of guiding hand through the poem, which I don't feel here. Here I kind of feel I'm in free fall, trying to grab at things to be sure. I mean, and maybe we don't need to be sure, right? But I'm a lot less certain.
I wonder too what you all make of the title, and I'm being a wise ass because it's Unmake These Things, right? So like I often think about how titles work to capture something essential or situate a poem in some either thematic or conceptual way, right? And so to call it Unmake These Things, it's almost like casting a reverse spell, right? Like it's an undoing, right?
Which could be all kinds of things, including throwing off an unwanted diagnosis or just the burden of being on medication. Often that's for life, right?
Right.
I'm also like tying the unmake into like the word itself is like a weird contradiction where it's like, yeah, they're drawing or painting these things, but in reduction, like in a reduction form, like stick figures in the backdrop scenery, instead of like, so they're not drawing like an actual person, they're drawing a stick figure. They're kind of that make and the un kind of work together in a different way in this land of poetry. Like the birds become M's. They're not the shape that we know them as, they're the shape where this person representing them as on like a canvas or a piece of paper.
Yeah. But I think that ties in with Dagny's reading of the end too. It's like unmake these things, like a diagnosis. So there it is, right?
Yeah.
There's been talk lately of irreversible chemistry, not chemistry as in Zoloft, but chemistry in the body, right? That's irreversible. An acceptable stand-in for cure among believers and experts in and on the subject of Zoloft-sponsored serotonin, right? Like, so that the Zoloft comes in as the cure for this irreversible chemistry, right? A first meaning it is possible, do not bother with the second. It's like, it's that thump at the end is the thing that feels like might be at the heart of the wish for unmaking, right? Like, there's no way out of this, you know?
Yeah. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serotonin, is responsible for so many things. It's mood, thinking, memory, cognition. It's so many things. Zoloft sponsored serotonin. I like that a lot. It was a surprise with all these other words to get a brand in there.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a little bit almost like, ooh, like disconcerting. But I think it works with its intention. It works with its intention. I think it does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny. I like spending time with this poem, right? And sometimes that's like Kathy said this, if she said it once, it's a million times, but every time I hear it, it's like the first time that, a poem is powerful if you want to spend time with it, right? Or if you're just like moving on, right?
Yeah. I mean, for a reasonably short poem, there's a lot of layers in here. It almost feels like a puzzle, but that you can get somewhere with the puzzle. You're not going to complete it, but but it's satisfying to try.
Yeah, I get enough meaning. I don't need to know every little bit. And I get just so many incredible moments where the language will linger. If the meaning doesn't, the language will. Shall we vote?
Oh, it's if that is not at the heart of this, right? Like, like language that lingers and meaning, like the need for meaning, right? And that it's a poem, right? And that poems work in those like in and across those dimensions, right? It's not a thesis-driven, fact-ridden essay, right? It's doing some other thing. And it's Slushies, what you can't see. Everyone's nodding and then waving fingers at me, right? Like Alex.
Well, I'm gonna make a joke because I feel like you're saying a lot of words, and I'm like #mood.
Hashtag
because I mean, like, or vibes, if you will, I guess the kids say. Like, I'm teaching a workshop, and I'm reminded of relatively the age of like, oh right. So me saying vibes and mood, I feel like some like teenagers like sneezing somewhere and they don't know why.
I want to vote.
Okay, let's do it. I can't look.
Yeah.
Can't. All right, ready?
All right. 1, 2, 3, vote.
Oh, so interesting.
And it's in.
Oh, wow.
It is in.
Slushies, you couldn't see, but I pulled my shirt over my head. I didn't want to see it.
You won't ever look.
Yep, I don't like looking. I don't like looking when we vote. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Lucky us. Thank you, Nick Visconti.
Lucky us. Thank you so much, Nick Visconti, for allowing us to have this conversation today and for sending your poems to us in the first place. Greatly appreciated. And now Marion and I can tell the story of our murmuration
Yes.
experience.
Oh my God. Please do tell that story.
Well, you're going to jump in. I'm going to take the beginning because you would never say it this way. So Marion and I went to a writer's retreat in upstate New York. And this was the January before COVID befell us, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of befallen, Marion, we were in a huge, gorgeous old house with a group of lovely people. And I am here to stand, as witness that Marion drank one glass of wine with a very large meal. And then folks in the other room were calling out that they had finally got a fire built. And she went gambling into the sunken living room and fell and broke both her legs.
Pretty much. That's actually pretty much true. So I had befallen and could not get up.
True story. She had to spend the majority of the rest of the retreat weekend in a bed being brought things after.
And in retrospect, listening to the pandemic spread, right? Like I was laying there listening to the news and working and writing, and all my lovely friends were being lovely and bringing me things upstairs. But this is true. It was the first time I had a break in almost 20 years of teaching. And the first thing I did was break my leg. Then I got in a car with a broken left foot and a sprained right foot and drove 8 hours, Kath, right?
Yeah. So then we had to drive back down to, it was her mother-in-law's car, and she had to drop it back off in her mother-in-law's area. But so we're driving and we're both kind of looking up in the sky and saying, what could this be? Now, Mary and I also had the privilege of being in Austin and watching the bats fly out from under the bridge, that famous thing that happens in Austin. And we're just staring at this black line in the sky that we could not see the end of in either direction. And it was like, because everything was feeling very much, what is happening? We didn't know whether to be afraid or filled with joy. Right, Mary? Bounce it right to you. And now?
So we pulled over to the side of the road. we're looking through the sunroof in the car, and it's the annual migration of geese in and near Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and it's really a beautiful sight to see. Like bird watchers come out to see it, and Kathy and I just stumbled on it.
Yeah,
and it really.
We were. I was just going to say we were driving in the same direction as the murmuration. So that was another reason why it felt like it was endless, because we were migrating with them, the exact path of the bird. It was incredible. Yeah.
Truly.
True story. Yeah.
True story. Murmuration.
A moment of grace in all of the chaos,
Migrations. Yeah, it was really something.
That's an amazing story.
And so now we have this wide sloping M's grouped in a permanent murmur from the poem by Unmake These Things by Nick Visconti. Now we will have it with us always.
Wide sloping M's.
Thanks again, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Nick Murmuration Visconti. That's going to be his nickname.
Right. Well, as we always say, we don't know exactly when this will drop. It'll be a few months from now. We were making, references like we normally do of what our lives are now. We are a couple days after Halloween, in the middle of Philadelphia's World Series run. And anybody else have anything else that they would like to add before we wind this up? Everybody's groovy. Okay, so that means Slushies, you have to talk to us instead. So send us an email, message us on Insta, follow us on all the things, tell us how we're doing, what you'd like us to do, and thanks so much for listening. Bye. Thank you.